Have you heard about teamfight tactics but aren't entirely sure as to what it is? Hi, my name is Troyo, and in this video I'm going to give you a basic overview of teamfight tactics and tell you why I think you should give it a try. If you're like me, when I was trying to learn about teamfight tactics, I started by watching Twitch streamers.
Okay, we're taking away Lucian, okay? We're selling this. This is actually useless. I just don't want to play Fiora. We're just looking for Yasuo, right?
But I literally had no idea what was going on. In fact, I still felt a little lost even after watching a few beginner guides here on YouTube. I think one of the major limitations of this game is how frustrating the game can be to learn if you're a new player. However, over the past couple of weeks, I've gained a very strong understanding about the core mechanics of the game, and the goal of this video is to share this information with you as simply as possible and hopefully even encourage you to try the game yourself, because once you get started, it's a whole lot of fun. Oh my god, yes I won! I'm so good at this game, oh my god. Teamfight Tactics, also known as TFT, is a game that was recently released by Riot Games, also known as the people that made League of Legends. TFT is classified as an auto chess game, but for the sake of simplicity, I think it's better characterized as an auto brawler game. What do I mean by that? So the reason being is because the primary game mechanic relies on placing characters, also called champions, onto a grid and then watching your champions brawl it out with your opponent's champions.
First I'll kill you, and then I'll yodel.
And yes, these champions are from League of Legends, so if you've ever played that game, you might see some familiar faces.
HQ is so good at abusing summoner spell cooldowns. So honestly, both teams here getting caught.
Each game contains 8 players and is currently only available in a free-for-all style. Each player starts the game with their hero, also known as a little legend, at 100 health, and the objective is to be the last one standing. Games are broken up into rounds, and each round will end with being randomly matched against one of your 7 opponents. At the very end of every brawl, the loser's hero will lose part of their 100 health life total. It is important to note that heroes do not participate in the brawl with the champions. Instead, they serve as a life meter representing your standing in the game. If your hero reaches 0 health, you're out. Damage received for losing is dependent on how many champions your opponent has left after the brawl. So you lose less health for closer fights and more health if you get annihilated. And don't worry, if your champion dies during the brawl with your opponent, they will be revived and placed back onto the board at the beginning of the next round. At the beginning of each turn, you're given coins that can be used in 3 different ways. The first way is to purchase champions. The amount of champions you're allowed to play on the field is limited by your hero's level, so it's important to keep this in mind. Champions that you buy that cannot be played are placed onto your bench. Your bench has a total of 9 empty spaces. It is important to note that purchased champions can be sold back for their full price. Champions will cost either 1 to 5 coins, 1 coin being the most common and easily accessible champions, whereas the 5 coin champions are much harder to find, but they will typically have a better ability. In addition, these higher coin champions are only found later in the game. The second way to spend money is to buy experience. As the rounds progress, you will naturally gain experience, which will lead to leveling up over time, but you can also choose to spend coins and level up if you think this will increase your odds of winning the next fight. The third way is to get a new hand. If you're desperately searching for a champion and are unsatisfied with your hand, you can pay 2 coins for a new hand. You might notice that you can receive a champion in your hand more than once. If you can collect 3 cards containing the same champion, you can level up this champion into a 2-star version of itself. This will increase their total life and the effectiveness of their abilities. Each champion has a unique ability that is provided when you place your cursor on their card. Furthermore, if you're able to collect 3 2-star versions of a champion, which is equivalent to 9 basic cards, you can level up a champion into a 3-star version of itself, which is even more powerful. Each champion is categorized into at least 1 origin and 1 class. There are a few that can have 2 origins and 1 class, or 1 origin and 2 classes, but for the most part, they'll have 1 origin and 1 class. One of the primary strategic objectives in this game is to collect champions that share an origin and or class with other champions. After collecting X amount of champions that share an origin and or class with one another and placing them onto your grid, these champions will receive a buff specific to that completed collection. For example, because I have 2 wild characters on the field at the same time, they will now start generating stacks of fury, which will rapidly increase the champion's attack speed over time. The number of similar champions and the buff that you receive are all dependent on the set you are trying to collect. Some class and origin buffs are awarded in tiers and will scale up in power if you place more and more similar champions onto the field. For example, going back to the wild composition, it says that if we are able to play 4 wild champions on the board at the same time, then Stacks of Fury will not be limited to wild champions only, and now it can be generated by all of your champions on the field. Although spending money is important for progress, it is important to note that saving money is also a viable strategy. For every increment of 10 coins you're holding in your bank at the very start of the round, you'll receive 1 extra coin in interest. This interest caps at 5 coins and is visually represented off to the left-hand side of your board. You can also spy on your opponents to see roughly how many coins they have in their banks. One viable strategy is to try and collect 50 coins as quickly as possible in order to receive the highest interest rate at the beginning of every turn. However, this strategy needs to be done cautiously. As I mentioned, spending coins is important for developing strong, synergistic teams, and being too greedy by holding onto the coins may cause you to fall too far behind. The final way to earn extra coins comes from winning fights. At the end of each match, the winner will get 1 coin. If you win consecutive fights, you will also be awarded bonus coins for a winning streak. The amount of bonus coins scales up depending on how large your winning streak is. In addition, it is also possible to be given bonus coins if you are on a losing streak. Losing early can be frustrating, but luckily there is a catch-up mechanic present within TFT. In this game, there are occasional carousel rounds where champions will circle around the center and you'll be able to choose one champion that you would like for free. And this starts by allowing the player that has the least amount of life to choose first. These rounds can be critical for finding a champion needed to complete your collection or to level up a champion. Therefore, getting to choose first by being in last place doesn't sound so bad here. Although we've talked about several layers to this game already, there is one more missing that is equally important, and this is items. To use items, you equip them to your champion by dropping them onto your champion of interest. Each champion can only have up to 3 items equipped at one time. Once an item is equipped to a champion, this item cannot be removed from the champion unless you sell the champion. When a champion with an item is sold, the items will go back to your bench and you are free to equip the item to another champion. In TFT, there are 8 basic items that can be combined with any other basic item to create a new combo item. Once 2 basic items are combined, they cannot be separated, so it is important that you are 100% certain before crafting these combo items. Items are very important, but can also be very complicated to understand. For now, I'm going to give you a basic overview, but if you're interested in learning more about these items in more detail, make sure you stick around for one of my future videos. But for now, I think it's worth mentioning that items can be used either to strengthen traits present within your team or to counter your opponent's team. One example of using your items synergistically would be to craft a Rage Blade for a team that has glacial synergy. Champions from the glacial origin have the chance to freeze an enemy after you hit them with an attack, and then Rage Blade increases attack speed over time, therefore increasing the chance that you will attack and ultimately freeze the target. An example of how to craft an item defensively would be to craft a Dragon's Claw against an enemy team that has sorcerers. Sorcerers rely on magic damage to kill enemy champions, therefore the Dragon's Claw is a highly effective defensive item because it results in 83% resistance to magic damage for the champion that has it equipped. The last thing that's worth mentioning is that in addition to battling opponents, some rounds are specific to battling monsters. These rounds are important because it serves as an opportunity to collect items. However, the number and the type of item collected from the monsters is random. The only time you're able to specifically choose items is during the carousel rounds. In the carousel, each champion in the middle will have an item equipped. Therefore, the carousel rounds can be a bit more complex than they seem because players will oftentimes have to decide whether they should pick a champion to complete a set or the item that the champion has in order to build a combo item for their team. Overall, I really enjoy this game because there are so many viable strategies and it is difficult to master. Every match I feel like I'll learn a little bit more and I really enjoy this challenge. However, I know this game can be a bit overwhelming, especially if you're brand new, so hopefully this video helped you out a little bit. If you're a beginner, I would recommend trying to master 1 or 2 different builds before getting too creative. This makes playing a lot easier and gives you the opportunity to master one viable strategy at a time. If you're interested in learning about which builds I would recommend and how to play them, make sure to let me know by leaving a like on this video and also subscribe if you're interested in more content like this in the future. I really hope this guide was helpful for you. If there's any questions that were not addressed in this guide, go ahead and ask me in the comments and I'll make sure to respond to them. If you have any suggestions for videos in the future that you'd like to see, just let me know in the comments as well. All right, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.